Welcome to the Visibility Transformation Challenge 2025. And today we're going to talk about AI and SEO. With the prevalence of AI today and how fast it's moving, it is dramatically impacting search for small businesses across the board. And it's just getting started. Now, if someone comes up and says, I know exactly what's going to happen with AI search, do not believe them. None of us know exactly what's going to happen with AI search. But what we do know for sure is that we need to be prepared, we need to be educated, and we need to start taking steps now as business owners to ensure that as the shift in AI search starts to take over traditional search, our businesses are positioned in a way that AI recommends us and returns our companies in the search results because we're dependent on that traffic for sales revenue and close business. So we're going to dive right in. Again, this is part of the year-long Visibility Transformation Challenge that we are doing, MSW Interactive Designs. We're trying to bring our clients and our friends, make them more visible online, not just for the short term with ads, but for the long term, which is sustainable and drives revenue and drives growth for businesses. So the first thing I want to do is just dive into some terminology or acronyms that are being thrown around because we love acronyms in marketing, right? So you may have heard of GEO, which stands for Generative Engine Optimization. So some people are saying that GEO is going to replace SEO as something that business owners need to do. Some other things that are being tossed around that are the same thing is AEO, which is Answer Engine Optimization. And then my personal favorite is SEO, only different. So SEO right now stands for Search Engine Optimization, but Neil Patel, who is one of the best experts in marketing and search, he has coined it as Search Everywhere Optimization. Because when we're talking SEO, it used to be we would just optimize for Google. And now we need to be found everywhere, whether it be social media, in AI, on YouTube, just across the span digitally, search everywhere optimization. So that one is actually my favorite. But the bottom line is all they all really mean is getting found by having whatever mechanism you're asking, whether it be Google or AI, to recommend your business as one of the results that are returned. There's a lot of talk out there in the industry that SEO is dead and gone because AI is growing so fast. But I disagree. I do not believe that. I do not believe search engine optimization or SEO is obsolete. I believe that it is shifting. The most recent data that I could find is that 79% of people still prefer traditional search engines like Google. It is definitely shifting, and I always like to take stats like that and reverse them. So 80% of people are still searching traditionally. That means 20% of people aren't. 20% of people are using other things besides traditional search. That happens to be AI in this case, and that shift is growing. So as business owners, we need to be aware of that, and we need to know what actions to take to make sure that we're showing up wherever people are searching. One thing to note is that if millennials and Gen Z are your ideal client persona or your target market, they are adopting AI search as the norm faster than Gen X, which is me, and boomers, which makes a lot of sense because older people don't necessarily change as quickly. So you have less time to adapt if millennials and Gen Z are your ideal customers. That said, we all need to make the shift. So a couple things that you should know about AI search tools. So we're talking right now ChatGPT, Google AI, and any other new ones that come around. There's tons of models out there now that people are using. They all have their favorites, but essentially the stats look like this today, and today meaning July 2025, because I'll make this video today, 2 months from now this data is obsolete, which that's how fast stuff is moving. But as of right now, ChatGPT is handling about 1 billion queries per day. Google's handling about 16.4. So Google's still dominating, but it is shifting. AI search is conversational, whereas traditional search, Google returns Google Maps and then the 10 organic listings with the blue links and ads. The nice thing about Google search, traditional search, is that it sends links and Google drives traffic to your website. But AI search is very different because AI search focuses on just answering the question. You may or may not get a link to a website in an AI search, but it's irrelevant because AI is just answering the question. And what that means as business owners is that traffic is going to go down from search results. And we've actually already seen that in Google quite a bit because Google is working now to keep people on Google instead of sending them off to websites. So you'll see AI search results returned at the top of Google these days. You'll see Google answering questions and snippets instead of returning the list of websites at the top anymore. So it's just a trend. It is what it is. It's not going to change. It's only going to get worse for business owners, better for people, because people, when they search, they generally want to solve a problem, right? It's not that they're looking for 10 different options most of the time. They're just searching to solve a problem, get an answer to a question. So it's great for consumers, bad for businesses because of the traffic decline. AI right now pulls generally its recommendations from the top ranking content and authority content. So you building your authority online and your rankings online still matters, and it matters a lot. In fact, I'm going to say it matters more than it ever has because of this shift. And I'm going to show you 9 specific things that you can do to help make your website rank better and then build the authority around your brand. And then, of course, the caveat, if we blink, it changes because it is AI, it goes fast. And we need to be committed as business owners to keeping up and continuous learning and not ignoring and hiding our head in the sand because it is changing and it does matter. And the fact that you're here, whether you're live with me in person right now, or if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, that tells me that you're the kind of business owner that's committed to growth and learning and doing the things that are necessary to stay at the top of your game, to not only sustain revenue, but to grow revenue. So you're on the leading edge of being found and dominating your niche in your local or national market. So diving in, let's just lay it out there that organic SEO, traditional SEO is not dead. AI SEO, so ranking in artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and other AIs is important. And those two things go together. And when you're doing those two things together, that is how you're going to start dominating search. So I just like to look at it as an additional layer. There's some things that have become more important with AI that you could do before in traditional SEO, but now they're more important now that we're looking at AI. So we'll identify those things and I'll show you how you do those. And know, and I said this just a few minutes ago, it's important to know that AI is prioritizing their results with things that are already ranking well. So if you're not already ranking well in Google or other search engines, your focus needs to start there. Because if you're not ranking well there, the chances are slim to none that you're going to be returned in an AI search result. All right, so let's dive into the 9 things. So the first one is that when you're writing content on your website, and by content, I mean text, and I mean text that's not embedded in pictures, like actual text on the page. You need to write that content in a style that AI prefers. And so what does AI prefer? Well, again, search and AI, they are in the business of answering questions. So when you write your content in a way that answers questions, you are generally going to rank better, not only in Google, but also in AI. You want to create content that is conversational. So it's like a human-like style, not stuffed with keywords. That's very old school. My company's been around 26 years, and I went through the little window of a couple of years where you'd rank in Google by stuffing keywords on a page. That is no longer the way to do things. In fact, you can get yourself penalized in Google by doing that. So you want to write like a human. And if you're using AI to help you write your content, that's okay. But make sure that you are using prompts then that you've guided the AI to also help you write more human and less machine, less keyword stuffing. The other thing is that in Google's guidance, so Google has a tremendous array of content around how to rank in Google, which is actually funny to me. The foundation that Google centers ranking on for businesses is this concept of EAT, EEAT. It's experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And if you think about it, whether you're Google or one of the AIs, they are in the business of returning the best possible answers to people's questions. That's what keeps people coming back. So that comes from experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So as you start building your online presence and growing your online presence, always keep that in mind. It's more than reviews. It is reviews as a huge and substantial part of it, but it is also social proof around your website. So that would be anything you're doing on social media, outside third-party references to you and your business from credible sources. So we happen to be at Lake of the Ozarks locally. So one of the things as far as authoritativeness, we make sure that we're parts of all of the chambers of commerce, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and being a member. Google doesn't know that, but being a member and having a link from their website, helping produce content around some of the stuff they do so we get referenced by them more often, that is what builds the authoritativeness from the eyes of the algorithms in Google and any of the AI systems. So keep that in mind. You want to engage with whatever those sources are in your local community. Not only just become a member, not only be active and help produce and contribute content, but also buy the upgrade, buy the link back to your website because it makes a difference in your search. And then lastly, and this is what I have found to be really critical for AI right now, is emphasizing case studies, statistics around your industry, credentials that you may have. For us, Better Business Bureau, A+ rating for 26 years. That's a phenomenal credential that we need to make sure we're touting because all of that stuff gets picked up by AI and Google. And then one thing I'll share with you that we're doing at MSW right now, because of the shift in AI search, is that we are putting heavy emphasis on building case studies out and documenting them on our website so that it's great. People come to the website and look at our case studies to prove that we can do what we say we do. But what we're really doing it for is Google and AI search because that builds our credibility and our authority. So those things are important. So that's number one. Number two is we want to work on boosting how AI understands the content that we're putting out there. So one of the things that you want to make sure that you're doing with the content on your website, on your blogs, any content that you're putting out there into the internet space, is that you want to build semantic richness, which is leveraging related terms around your industry. As an example, let's just say, actually, I'll show you on the next screen. I've got a text example. The related words. So I'll do digital marketing in my space, but in digital marketing, instead of just writing about digital marketing on the MSW website, I will write and say website design, social media marketing, building SEO rankings. Those are all semantically rich terms around digital marketing. So what are those semantically rich terms around what you do that you can make sure that you have built into the content on your website? And then the other thing around understanding the content and how AI looks at it and interprets it, you can leverage tools. There's a lot of them out there. Our agency uses a tool called SEMrush. A standalone license is a little pricey, but if you work with our agency or another agency that leverages it, You can generally get that service cheaper than a standalone license. But so in our case, SEMrush will analyze all the stuff that you have online, and it will help us see what your top performing content is, and then suggest related keywords around like what your competitors are doing, what others are doing in the industry. And what that does is it helps identify gaps in your content versus what else is out there. And then you can start building content to fill those gaps. And then that builds your presence and your expertise and footprint online, which is all very helpful for AI to find you. And then, of course, avoid overusing keywords. So that going back to that keyword stuffing stuff, don't do that. Don't keyword stuff. It will get you penalized. Here's an example of a semantic variation. If you own a dog training business, instead of putting dog training all over your site, which would be the old school way of SEO, it's very clear if you structure your website the right way that you do dog training, but then in the context of the paragraphs of the content on your page, you might talk about obedience classes, dog behavior, canine behavior, dog obedience, training techniques for pets. And so what that semantic richness does is it tells Google and the AI that you have a comprehensive and authoritative website on this subject. So you are more likely to be returned in a search result around dog training. The third thing is making sure that the structure of the website and your content is ideal for AI optimization and search engine optimization. So at MSW, when we build websites for people, we very heavily focus on the structure of the page. So where it says use a clear hierarchy of headings, the H1, H2, and H3 tags, those stand for heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. Think about it like a book. So the heading 1 would be the title, and then the heading 2 would be the chapters, and then the heading 3s would be the sub paragraphs where it's broken out within the chapter by a heading. So that's structurally what it looks like. And what that does is it enables Google and anything else that's going to crawl your website like AI to understand the content, the structure of the content, the depth of the content. So think of the H1, H2, and H3 tags, and that's code, pieces of code that are on the back end. You can't see them, but generally on a website visually, it's like bigger text, then a little bit smaller text, and then a little bit smaller text, and then the paragraph. But it's code that actually makes that text bigger than the heading style. So it's technical, but it's important. So if you're doing your website yourself, or if you're working with someone who can build the website for you and not an agency or a professional, you want to ask those questions and you want to make sure that's built into your website because it matters. Next thing is tables and frequently asked questions. So it's just, again, structurally organizing content on a page. So it's very easy to understand. It's easy to scan. It's easy to pick up that you are authoritative and credible when you go in depth. So it's not wide, it's deep. So you go deep to get ranked. And then number 4, the technical SEO. Again, I know talking on Zoom and doing these things with technical stuff is not super fun, but it's important. And if you're like, oh, don't do that because this matters. I'm going to show you an example. So crawlability, technical SEO for AI search, you need to make sure that your website robots.txt file is not blocking AI engines. Believe it or not, people have these robots.txt files. They don't know they have them. Somebody who built their website, they're out there. A lot of these website generating tools automatically create them. And it could be completely blocking AI tools and search engines from crawling your website. So if you're not being found, that could easily be the problem. Let me just show you really quick. The red text on the slide for me is my visual cue to go show an example. So robot.txt file instructs AI, instructs Google, instructs other search engines, like what to do when it hits your website. So I'm going to show you the MSW robots.txt file. If you want to see your robots.txt file, or if you even have one, you probably do and don't know it, you just go to your domain name. So in our case, mswinteractivedesigns.com/robots.txt. If you have a robots.txt file, it will come up. And this is what it looks like. So these are all things that my robots.txt file is disallowing. So disallowing means you can't go here. So the Google crawler, the AI crawlers, you can't go here and look at this stuff. There's a lot of disallow here. Disallow, 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 disallow. So you can see how you could accidentally disallow something that you don't mean to. And then here we can see that I've got a sitemap, and then it tells them, what it can crawl and what it can't. If you don't have the technical background to understand what you're seeing here, I'm going to show you exactly what to do. Just take your robot.txt file and select it all and copy it, take it over to ChatGPT. And here's what I did. I just said, this is my robots.txt file. Is it blocking AI? And so I pasted it in here. And then ChatGPT analyzed my robots.txt file and said, based on what you provided, here's an analysis. Here's what it does. In my case, there's no universal disallow. Mine is blocking people from going into the checkout pages, admin sections. So think making it so it's more difficult to hack our website. So I'm disallowing those important critical pages that link in to the back end cart pages. And it's assuring me that we are not blocking Google bots. We're not blocking AI tools from crawling the website. But you might be surprised that this comes back and says that yours is just on accident. So it's worth checking. And then I'll share with you, this is funny, specific bots blocked. So my robots.txt file actually prevents tools that competitors can use to analyze the content in our strategies for SEO. So I block those. So like I told you, SEMrush, we leverage that for our clients, and we can analyze what their competitors are doing and then use that to help our clients rank better. I block that on our website, so our competitors cannot leverage those tools to do that. So just a little inside thing that's fun. All right. Next, number 5, optimizing site structure and speed for AI search. We want to make sure on the structure, this goes back to the heading tags, the logical hierarchy, but beyond that, we want to make sure that valuable content on the website is easy to find. So just a few clicks away from the homepage. So we produce a blog for purposes of SEO. So I'm going to go there. And you can see that our blog, I want the search engines and the AI engines to crawl our blog because we've got a ton of great content around what we do. So you can get to our blog so many ways. So it's just literally from the homepage, all they have to do is hover over the menu and then go to the marketing intel library, and it takes them right here. It's literally one click away to get to all of this content. And then on the homepage of our website, we have a blog feed. So all of our content is right there. So when Google or an AI bot comes to our website, goes to the homepage, it's going to find our blog just like that, with all of that deep, rich content that we build on a consistent basis. So that's what that means. When I say make sure your valuable content is just a few clicks away, the fewer clicks, the better. And then you always want to use descriptive internal linking. So when you have a blog or articles or whatever, you want to make sure that the links to the content on the website are descriptive as to what you do. So as an example, my links say web design packages. It's descriptive of what they're going to find. ADA compliance, search engine optimization. And then if we go to the blog, you'll see that the blogs also have very descriptive linked titles. So this is more apt to be found So if I click on voice search optimization here, that's the descriptive text link. You can see with the finger on my cursor that it's clickable. Instead of just reading more, saying read more being clickable, it's actually the text that's clickable. So that helps the bots and engines index and tie the content to the critical keyword phrases that you want to be found for. And then website speed. So this is a thing. It's not my favorite thing as a designer, I'm going to be honest, because we love to build visually attractive websites, which a lot of time require beautiful images, videos, things like that that can slow down websites. But the bottom line is, if from a ranking perspective, those images and videos need to be optimized properly for fast loading, because Google places a premium on website speed because it is in the business of trying to return the best results and the best experience for its users. And so if Google prioritizes it, we need to prioritize it as business owners also. Okay, this one is going to be technical again. This is why another argument for working with an agency instead of DIY or having your nephew or kid do your website, because this is technical stuff that matters. You want to make sure you're using schema markup on the back side of your website. So we're talking code. It's not pretty, it's not fun, but it's important for rankings. And this now is becoming more important from an AI search perspective too. I'm going to show you what it looks like. So what it does though, is it gives structured data, metadata essentially, to search engines and AI as to what your site's about, how it's organized, and the depth and breadth of the content on your website. So schema looks like, so this is an example of structured schema for MSW Interactive Designs. I'm not going to go into a lot of depth here. I'm just going to show you so you understand what it is. And then whatever company you're working with, you want to talk to them about making sure that you have this structured data, the schema on the back end of your website. So this is code that goes on every page of your website. And so this just tells the bots, here's our logo, here's our social channels, here's the point of contact, here's the address for the business, and then here's the services, the types of services, here's links to the services. So you get the idea. It's like a map of the page, a technical map of the page. And then we're showing relativity here. So you're on this website, and if you go to this Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, it's the same company. So we're telling them, building that like nice web so the bots know all the stuff around MSW Interactive Design. The structured data is going to look different on every page. So you have an FAQs page. It's going to be a list of articles and links to those articles about the FAQs, or it's going to be answers, question, answer, all in the structured data. And then if you have a blog, same thing, you're going to have structured data for all your blog pages. And that structured data is going to tell the bots more about the content on that page. And then one thing that if you try to do this on your own, you're a DIYer, and let's just say that you go to ChatGPT and give it your URL and you say, give me structured data for this page so that I can put on my website. Always test it. So I'm going to put this in the Visibility Transformation Challenge Facebook group in the files section so that you'll have this link. Always test your structured data, because if your structured data is wrong, if you have typos or if you've done the coding structure layout wrong, what's going to happen is you're going to tell the bots that this stuff is on the page, and all it's going to do is crawl it and find broken links. And that's actually going to hurt your rankings in AI and search. So you always want to test it every single time. When I'm building structured data, even though I know what I'm doing, I still go test it every single time before I put it on my website, because we don't want stuff we're doing to hurt us. So that's really important. And again, I know that's highly technical. Most business owners are not going to be writing structured data on their own, but you need to be aware as the business owner that it's important so that whoever you're working with on your website, you have the ability to say, hey, do you have structured data across all the pages? If you're not aware, you can't ask the question. You don't even know. You don't know what you don't know. So structured data is important. Make sure whoever's working with you knows it too and implements it. So the thing that structured data additionally will do for you, if you've seen those search engine rankings where it actually shows not just the blue link to your business and the little description, but you've seen people come up and search, and then there'll be like snippets underneath their search listing. Sometimes there'll be reviews under their search listing. How do they do that? It's the structured data that does that. So it also makes your search engine ranking look better in Google. You'll rank better in Google, and you'll get more conversions through that listing. So here's an example. We've all seen this. If you do a search for best chocolate chip recipe, this is an example of a structured data driven search result. So Google, these recipe people have put structured data on their pages that shows the reviews, the time it takes to cook, the descriptions. These are all content items on the recipe page that they built structured data on the back end. And so Google and AI know that this is really well formatted. It has everything a user could ever need, puts it up at the top because it's returning the best result possible for the end user based on what they searched for. Hopefully that makes sense. It's a little extra work, but that little extra work goes a very long way in Google and is going to go a much longer way in AI search into the future. So number 8, building authority and trust signals are very important when it comes to AI search results. And I'll tell you a story. I test MSW all the time in ChatGPT and other AIs. And so I'll be like, okay, I'm a new business owner at like the Ozarks, and I need to get a website designed. Give me the top 5 companies. And so ChatGPT will spit out the top 5 companies as of right now. Last time I checked, which was a couple of days ago, we still come out in the top position, which is perfect. So what I'm working for. And then as a consumer, I'm like, okay, so great. These are 5 companies. Thanks for letting me know what they're known for. Here's what I'm trying to accomplish with my business. Of these 5 companies, who would you recommend? And I actually say that to ChatGPT. And MSW, thankfully, as of right now, comes back almost every single time is the company that ChatGPT recommends. Why is that? It's because we do all this stuff on the back end of our website, and we've got a lot of reviews. We have a lot of authority in the industry. That's why. So the authority and trust signals are really important. And you establish those by building a wealth of content. So that'd be blogs, YouTube videos, social media posts, and then, of course, this EAT signals, and then links coming back to your website from third-party reputable sources like chambers of commerce, convention and visitors bureaus. And then the last bullet on this screen is developing topical authority. And I'm going to show you an example of what that means, because this, to me, is going to be even more critical in the age of AI. So to build topical authority, so I'm just going to use us as an example because I have been super proactive on this with AI doing what it's doing. We built topical maps around the content that we produce. So we just finished a blog series, 30 days, a blog a day, around organic SEO. And I did that by building a content map around SEO, and then had one of my team members actually build and publish the blogs every single day on our website. So I'm going to show you what a topical map looks like, because my next focus is going to be AI SEO. This session that we're doing is going to go on YouTube. This is going to be part of my topical map content. So I built a topical map, and yeah, I used AI to help me build the map. So it's essentially giving me a deep list of content that if I produce this content around this topic over the course of time, and I'm going to say shorter time than longer time, that positions us as the authority. It's just a mass amount of content around this particular thing. If someone's looking to figure out how to rank in AI with SEO methods, this is how we're going to do it. So I've got the topical map. So the next thing I'm going to do is build a blog plan around this topical map. So you can see how it goes deep. AI powered content creation for SEO. And then these are 3 blogs. AI and keyword research. And then these are 3 blogs. AI driven on page SEO optimization. These are 3 blogs. So you get the idea. This is a deep content map that then we can use to produce content in the form of blogs, social media posts, YouTube videos, all the things, so that we are clearly and definitively, from a content and depth perspective for AI and Google, the expert in the area for this. So I talked in previous videos about the 7-11-4 rule. That comes from research that Google did recent on how consumers are making purchasing decisions today. And it is no longer that they just go search and click a link and go buy. Now they are doing crazy research. And so what Google has found, based on all of the user data that it has, and it has a ton, think about what we search for, think about Gmail. It has all the data in people's Gmail accounts, that users follow this 7-11-4 principle. They spend 7 hours absorbing, internalizing content produced by businesses and around businesses in 11 different mechanisms. So we'll say they might consume 3 blogs, 2 YouTube videos, go read Google reviews. So you get the idea. So they're going to take in 11 pieces over 7 hours and then across 4 platforms. So the platforms could be Facebook, Instagram, the website. It could be your YouTube channel. It could be your blogs. So 7-11-4. So they say now, if you don't have 7 hours of bingeable content around your business out there online, then you are missing the mark and falling below someone who does 100% of the time. And that's Google research. So I tend to trust it because they got all the data. They got more data than they should have. But so 7-11-4. So that's number 9. So in summary, I'm just going to wrap up. What you need to know as a business owner is that the SEO fundamentals that we know, they still hold true and are the foundation for AI search results. And you also need to know that AI tools prioritize things that are well-structured, authoritative, and semantically rich. We talked about semantically rich. So it's depth of content. And then building topical authority using schema markup, and then focusing on other technical SEO pieces. And my recommendation is that knowing this as a business owner, you want to stay ahead of the curve by proactively auditing, and I'm just going to come to the next steps, proactively going and auditing where you are currently with your website and your content, and how far and wide your content is distributed, and how in-depth your content is today. And then make a plan, whether it's maybe you're just going to go implement some structured markup on your homepage. That would be a step that you could take, and it'd be a step in the right direction. Maybe you're going to go do a topic map to really solidify your foundation in your local market and plan a series of 20-30 blogs that go deep on that subject area. But the bottom line is know that search is shifting. AI prioritizes these things, these 9 things that I just shared, and that if you want to make a move and be at the top in AI, this is how you're going to do it. but it takes action. So I know some of it's complex, some of it's technical, and if you need help, we've got the team that can make that happen for you. So I've got a couple people on here live, so I'm going to open it up to questions. If any of you guys have questions, I'll answer them, and then we'll just wrap it up. Ashley, what are your thoughts around what you just heard? And I'm just curious, like, what questions come to mind?
I don't know if it's necessarily questions, but I think I actually had a client earlier that had a big thing of pennies, and he says he's going to the bank to cash it in because his phone told him that they're no longer making pennies anymore, apparently, for this year. And I said, he goes, but I talked to my phone and it told me somebody named Chat GPT told me, and so he's got the new iPhone. And so it's tearing it apart. And it was so funny because I just want Google. And even an old timer like him, he says, I tried so hard to just Google it and it kept routing me to this thing. And now I have a new app. So I just thought it was too cute. Yes.
Yeah, so the new phone was actually forcing him into using AI instead of
Yep.
going to Google. Is that what you're
Yep.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man. Oh, there you go. Things are shifting and they're shifting fast.
No,
So,
I think it's
Cheryl,
really interesting in the keyword piece because I think it asks for main keywords and you want to talk around. I like the dog training aspect. You want to say dog training, and there are so many different searches that could route them to your website rather than just dog training. So I think that's a good piece that we could all use.
absolutely. Yeah. And if you're not sure what some of those other words are, you can just go to ChatGPT and ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
I have a
Absolutely.
dog training business, and what are some semantic phrases, semantically relevant phrases that people are
Mm-hmm.
searching for in this space that I
Yep.
can and should incorporate into the content on my website? And you'll get a list.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
I leverage the tools. Absolutely leverage the tools. Cheryl, how about you? Any thoughts or questions around this?
Same thing, not necessarily any questions, but this learning, it changes every day. I've only been here, I've been here for 3 years. I'm learning something new almost on a weekly basis, sometimes daily. So it's just
Yeah.
amazing how fast things are going and how much is involved in the behind the scenes wording of everything. And even that change, I never knew what an algorithm was before. So
And
and
for
then to
those of
know
you
that they
like,
change all the time.
yeah, I know, right?
So
So Cheryl is the business manager here at MSW Interactive Designs, and Karen's on the call too. I love that my team members join these calls too, because sometimes as owners or business leaders, we do this stuff and we know this stuff and we get busy, and that knowledge does not get transferred or reliably to our team members. And so it's super important to make sure that you are on top of the game, not only as a business owner, but that your team members in this space are as well. So yeah, I really appreciate you today. All right, y'all, you
and
have
yeah,
it's July 2nd when we're recording this. So I'm going to say have a happy 4th of July weekend, a safe 4th of July weekend. And think about one action that you can take from this training that you can do or call your web people and have them do that will drive you further and more forward in getting found in AI search because it's important.